In my hand, I have a $70 projector. This one's made by a company called 8man. In this video, I'm going to tell you whether it's worth looking at a sub $100 projector. Let's get into it. Right now on Amazon, there are a number of category of products that have been traditionally pretty expensive, but now are pretty affordable and are made by a number of different Chinese manufacturers. Now, projectors are one of these category of products. Now, even right now on Amazon, you could probably find hundreds of different projectors that look exactly the same, probably come from the same factory, or have the same designs, and have even some of the same internal components, but have a different badge or logo on the outside. My name is Patrick, and this is Everyday Tech for everyday people. And in this video, I'm going to tell you whether you should be even considering some of these sub $100 products, and even what to look out for when you're looking at these projectors on Amazon. Not everything is what it says it is. Now, this video is not meant to be a review on this particular model itself. It's more of a PSA on what to watch out for in buying a cheap projector. But with that said, I will be using this projector as an example to kind of drive home my point and show you actual footage and photos that come from this projector. Now, the two main specs that I'll be concentrating on are brightness and resolution. Now, brightness does affect the way your ability to see your picture in different lighting conditions, and resolution affects how detailed and clear those pictures are. Now, these two main specs often are the specs that mislead buyers on Amazon, especially by the way the product listings are worded and presented to you. So brightness is measured in lumens. A lumen is a measure of the total quantity of visible light emitted by a certain source. But to properly measure a source, and in particular projectors, the way you measure matters. So there's a standard called ANSI lumens. So ANSI lumens takes a measurement at different areas at a given distance and takes all those measurements and averages them out and gives you a number. It gives you a rating, an ANSI lumen rating. So for example, a good projector could have a peak brightness, peak lumen of 1200, but it could have a rating of 200 ANSI lumens, which is actually not that terrible. So let's take our 8man projector here. If we take a look at the original title for this product here, it says something that it has 4500 L brightness, 4500 lumens of brightness. Could this actually have 4500 lumens of brightness? Let me just say that's pretty insane. How can they really even justify these numbers? Well, this is how I think they're doing it. So let's say my phone here is a light meter that gives me a readout of the output of a source in lumens, right? Now, the way you're really supposed to do it is you're supposed to take the measurement in 9 different areas at a certain distance, and that distance is 2.4 meters or about 7.8 feet. But the way that they're doing it probably is this. They're taking their projector, turning it on, putting it at full brightness, and getting their light meter and just putting it right up to the source. This is probably how they're getting their insane numbers. If we go to the 8man website and look at this particular model, if you look at the specs of this model, you'll see something called real lumens, and it shows 50. But why show 4500 lumens? Well, it's more attractive compared to another projector that's 10 times more than this one, but actually shows the ANSI lumens, which is a much lower number. It's all about marketing, and it's deceiving marketing if you ask me. So let's look at a more expensive model. Let's look at the Optoma HD39. It has a rating of 4000 lumens, and according to projectorcentral.com, that's the ANSI lumens actually. So which one's brighter, the $70 8man here or the $800 Optoma? Well, obviously the Optoma is much brighter, and if we go by the real specs, it has an average brightness that's 80 times brighter than this 8man here. So let's see this in action. Now, during the daytime, this projector is pretty unusable. Colors are washed out. The details of the photo is just not very clear. I'll get into more of the details when we get into resolution. Now, things do improve, especially when you turn off the lights at nighttime, but things are still pretty washed out. Now I will say that most people using this projector will probably use it in a lower lit room at nighttime, even with maybe with all the lights out for some movie night. So in those situations, it might be satisfactory to some people. Resolution has to do with the number of pixels that can be outputted in a given space. So in TVs, you often see that a TV is 1080p, full HD, or it's 4K TV, or even you have some 8K TVs. Now this is where it gets really tricky in product listings, product titles, and descriptions. For example, they could have 1080p all over the title or all over the description, but you have to kind of know in what context. So if we take our 8-man here, the listing says supports 1080p. Now the keyword is supports 1080p. That means it can support a 1080p signal coming into the projector. So my laptop can output 1080p. A Roku stick can support 1080p, output 1080p into the projector itself. But what's the actual resolution? And looking at these specs, you need to look at the native resolution. So back to our 8-man website, it shows that this projector has a 480p resolution. This really shows in our output. So if we go back to our photo, you can see this is why the faces are there's not much detail in them, right? This is a high resolution photo too. It's a 24 megapixel photo. It's just the output going out is 480p. So you're not going to get much information that's going out to your screen. Even with more popular brands like, let's say, the NEBULA line of projectors by Anker, their cheaper projectors are also 480p. It's only when you go up to the $500 plus range you get to 720p, and then after that, even more expensive, you get up to a 1080p projector. But with resolution and picture quality, your mileage may vary depending on the content you're watching. So in the case of my photo here, detail does matter, so resolution matters. But in the case of something like animated film like Cars 3, actually the picture quality was actually pretty good. So you really got to figure out your use case here. Of course, there are other things to watch out for that don't show up in the spec sheets. In this particular model, the fans here are particularly loud. Now all projectors have fans that are pretty loud, so the bulbs and the internals don't burn out. But this one seems in particular to be a little bit extra loud. And then there are other things to watch out for, like what about the user interface? Some interesting decisions went into this user interface here. And then the speakers on this aren't particularly great at all. Part of me doing this video is to tell you that sometimes you need to look deeper past the title and description and know what the real specs of a product are. So let's look at a #1 best-selling projector as of this recording on Amazon. So here's the full title of this projector. It's a Mini Projector 2022 Upgraded Portable Video Projector, 55,000 hours multimedia home theater movie projector. That's a lot of words, right? Compatible with full HD 1080p, and then all blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Again, it says compatible with 1080p. Now, if we look down further at the resolution, it shows that it has a native resolution of 800 by 480, and then 1080p compatible in parentheses, right? And it claims to have a 2600 lumen rating. Now, a good mid-range projector has an average of about 200 to 400 ANSI lumens. So I really doubt this has a 2600 ANSI lumen rating. With all that said, would I recommend buying one of these sub $100 projectors? In general, no. Now there's no question you can't beat the price of these, and you may even find a gem on Amazon of a projector that actually lives up to its specs, but in general, no. A lot of these projectors have a lot to be desired. You just kind of lose a lot of that versatility. Even you're limited by the type of environment that you'll be in, and even the type of content that you can display. Even in a moderately dimmed room, I can't even display, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation. Now, there's also something to be said about having a more reputable company. 8-man doesn't even list any more products on Amazon anymore. If you can afford it, I would move up to that 500 plus range of projectors. Hope you found this video helpful. Let me know. Have you bought one of these sub 100 projectors? Let me know your experience. What situations do you use it in? Leave a comment below. If you made it this far, get this video a like and consider subscribing. Until the next one, see ya.